Good morning guys, Chris the Ultimate Recycler. Welcome to the Great Farm Cleanup Part 5. Christine's over there waving me farewell. She's running the shop for a couple of days and I'm going to hit the road for a road trip and getting back to the farm.
There he goes, off on a big trek. Bye my love.
Okay, let's hit the road guys. It's supposed to be 36 Celsius today, so it's at nearly 100 Fahrenheit, so we're getting away a bit earlier and hopefully we have a good trip. Okay, first stop was only a couple hundred meters up the road. I had to post off a parcel from eBay. Now that that's done, we can hit the road. So we're just filming the main road through Nagambie where I live. It's only a small town for those of you that don't know. I believe the population's up to about 2,000 people now. We're about an hour and a bit north of Melbourne, and the place is really growing well. It's a great spot to have a business, and there's always plenty going on. So it's Monday morning. The town's a little quieter, weekends are much busier, and it's about 9:30 in the morning, so it's not super early, but I thought I'd get away before it got too hot. The old van here doesn't have any air conditioning, and I'll film a little bits of the way. It's about 3.5 hours drive across to my parents' farm at Murtoa, and we'll have to stop to get some fuel. I'll have to have a couple of coffees. Christine's made me some lunch, so we'll just cruise along and take it slow and carefully. Okay, 30 minutes into the trip, time to get some fuel and just give Mum a call, let her know we're on the way, and clean the windscreen, because apologies to you guys, you're probably seeing lots of bug smears on the windscreen. Now, I don't know how much fuel is here, but we don't really have a choice. I need some. I normally pull in at this service station anyway, it's convenient. Okay, I hope the windscreen's a little bit better for you guys. We might just give it a bit of a squirt, get rid of the smears. And I think we got rid of most of the bug spots. Okay, back on the road, full tank of fuel. Well, not quite full. I spent $150 and it didn't quite fill it, and it wasn't quite empty. So I don't know how that compares to you guys overseas, but $2.22 or $2.23 per litre. It's been like that for quite a while here. Okay, next stop is Bendigo, which is one of the big rural cities in Victoria. When I say big, not by international standards, but it's one of the major regional centres here. I don't know what the population would be. Might be around 100,000. Only guessing, I'll check that later. So now we're on the other side of Bendigo, on the west side, travelling through some central Victorian countryside. Given that a lot of you guys are from overseas and don't know much about Australia, and I've had some great comments on some of my trips before, I thought I'd show you some more footage. This is halfway between Bendigo and a place called Sanana. There's a lot of grazing land, there's a bit of cropping land, there's some areas of bush and some goldfield areas, and then there's lots of open plains. There's really not many not many mountainous conditions or hilly country on this central Victorian area, and as you can see, it's really dried off. We're in the middle of the summer. It's mid-January here, which is traditionally quite hot, and of course Victoria has bushfire danger as well this time of the year, so you can see a lot of the grass and crop stubbles are really dry. So this road is fairly typical of country Victoria. It's actually a highway. This is the Wimmera Highway, but it's not a major highway. There's not a lot of traffic on it. In fact, most of the traffic you see is trucks and various farm machinery. There's a few cars in this section, but generally it's pretty easy driving. So I was even enjoying myself. I had some music playing through a little iPod, a little Walkman radio. The radio in the van doesn't work. So I was enjoying my trip. I don't mind driving, I don't mind singing to myself. It was copyrighted music, so I can't play it to you guys, and you certainly don't want to hear me sing. So yep, I didn't have a bad trip, quite enjoyed it, had a few coffees on the way. And this area is the last stint before home, and we are currently driving at 500 kilometers an hour. Well, I'm doing 100 and I've sped it up 5 times. This stretch I used to drive regularly because I used to work in that little town called Rapanyup and drive back to Murtoa. It's 15 kilometers. We're actually now doing the whole trip at equivalent of about 500 kilometers an hour. You can see how straight the road is, how flat it is. And I thought, just for a bit of fun, I'll include this entire trip. So normally 15 kilometers would have taken me about 8 to 10 minutes, depending on how late I was to work. And it's only going to take us a couple of minutes here. Pretty straight right through, just a bit of a bend here on the right was some land that Dad used to own. And then there's another straight section, all really flat cropping country here. It's good land, it's good cropping land, and there's a lot of sheep as well. But not much cattle in this area. It's mainly cropping, broadacre cropping. Now we come up to a little bit of a swampy area here. We're only about 5 k's out from Murtoa now. And just on the right, just out of view, is a property that I used to own, 20 acres. And then we've just got a short drive up a little bit of a hill. Not much of a hill, but if you're riding a bicycle, it's a hill. And we're coming up to the town. And you can see just on the left there's the grain silos, and I've mentioned the stick shed before. And here we go to the speed restrictions sign, so we've slowed right down from 500 kilometers an hour to 60. And let's drive through the town for those of you that have never seen where I grew up. Small farming town in the central Wimmera district of Victoria. A bit of industry there on the right, which used to be, back in the early 1920s, was a freezing works. It's now a kitchen cabinet makers. Railway, main Melbourne to Adelaide railway line goes through town, although we don't have a passenger service anymore, but there are a lot of freight trains come through. And this is the main street through Murtoa. It's only about 900 people, I think, so it's quite a small rural community. I think we probably don't even see a car on the way through, if I remember correctly. I'm obviously voicing this over later. And we're coming up here to pretty well the centre of town. To the right is the main shopping strip. There's a milk bar on the left that's been closed for a long time and it's recently reopened. The building on the left there used to be a bank and it's been a private residence for many years. There's a really nice old hotel on our left right now, and it had been closed for many years. I believe it's reopened now, I think. There's the only traffic we're going to see today in town is another wheat truck. And then we have a nice lake and a war memorial there just at this entrance to the lake. You might have noticed the big water tower just before we turned. And now we're basically heading down past the football oval, and there's a caravan park on the edge of the lake. And we're pretty much about to leave town, so there's not much to it. Fairly quiet, sleepy place. It was a good place to grow up. It's got a nice school, and it's a great community to grow up in, but there's not much happening there now. I certainly couldn't run a tourist business in Murtoa like I do in Nagambie. So we're just about to leave town, and it's not far out the road to get to my parents' farm. And here we go, guys, we've finally made it. It's starting to get pretty warm in the van. No air conditioning in here. So this is the driveway to the farm. And it's looking very dry and dusty. I think it's about 2 PM, I'm not sure what time, but we made pretty good time. It wasn't a bad trip. And here you can see all the stuff that needs to be picked up from the recent auctions. All the piping and the fencing wire. There's still a lot of stuff to clean up in this farmyard. Oh, it looks like there's some visitors here. Good morning, guys. It's the next morning. It's about 8 o'clock. It's going to be a very warm day today. They're forecasting 38, which is over 100, possible gusty storms later in the day, so not ideal for cleaning up. First thing, I had a guy come and pick up yesterday afternoon, come and pick up the gate that sold on eBay, the good one, for 250. He actually has bought something else. I'll show you that in a tick. But the other 3 gates I put on Facebook Marketplace last night, and I've already got a taker. Someone's going to come and pick up the 3 this afternoon, hopefully. We all know Facebook Marketplace is a little bit inconsistent with good buyers and people turning up on time, but hopefully they're going to go. So before it gets too hot, I'm going to hook up the trailer to Dad's old ute here and to go and pick the gates up and get them out of the sun, because by 5 o'clock this afternoon, if they're in the sun, you'll need asbestos gloves to pick them up. They're going to be pretty hot. So we'll go and do that first. Then I'm going to have a look in the barn and see if I can get some stuff organised to put on Facebook as well. Now the first thing I've got to do is dig out the vehicle from amongst all this. It's like mini tumbleweed. We get lots of these at the farm. Certain times of the year, the wind just blows them up the driveway. They swirl round into the sheds. They're actually almost completely covering a tractor in the other shed, so it's a bit of a pain. It's more than just a nuisance, because if you pull the car in here when it's hot, you can actually start a fire because they jam up under the exhaust. So I'll try and get these out of the road now, and I think the keys are in the car, so we'll go and hook the trailer up. Now I hope the wind's not making too much noise. I forgot to bring my little fluffy thing for the microphone out here, and it's quite gusty. I've picked up 2 of these 14-foot gates that didn't sell. There's the 10-footer leaning against the post there I'll just put on, so I'll take them back to the farmyard. Hopefully they go. The guy offered, well, I did a deal for the lot, $250 the lot, which isn't far off what we had them listed on eBay for, and of course this way we don't have any fees. So hopefully he turns up. I'm not going to be down here too long today. It's getting quite warm already, and it's not even 9 o'clock. But this other, I was going to show you what the other sale was we made. This very old riveted tank, I'm not sure what it was originally. We had used it to store grain in. Someone's made it into a little silo, and it's quite rusty at the top. In fact, I think it had some old grain in it. You can see the top's all badly rusted there. Anyway, the guy that was here to pick up the good gate liked it. He reckoned it'd make a great ornament in his little hobby farm. So 50 bucks. A nice little piece of cash to save us trying to list it, no fees. So that's good. He's going to come and pick that up Wednesday. Alright guys, it's later in the afternoon. It's about 4:30 I think, and the weather has really turned. It's got very gusty. There's supposed to be storms coming through, and it's looking a bit threatening there over to the west. I've got a fair bit organised today. I've photographed a lot of stuff in the barn and I've put it on Facebook Marketplace. There are people coming to pick up stuff tomorrow and the next day. We've had a guy come and pick up all the half pipes, and I spent about an hour helping him load them in about 38-degree heat, so that wasn't fun. It's very windy out here. I've got the little wind protector on my microphone, so this will give it a really good test. Last time it worked brilliantly, so I'm very happy with that. So hopefully you're hearing me okay. The guy got the steel posts this morning. That was $100. He was happy with those. We have someone picking up all this fencing wire, I think, on Thursday. I've got to do something with that little steel cage there. I'll move all that corrugated iron too. I'd like to clean this whole area up before I go this week. The people are coming to get the earthenware pipes, I think, on Thursday as well. There's all the broken pieces from the half pipes that the guy didn't want, so I think Ross might be able to get rid of them. He was filling in some holes down near the dam down the front there, so he may be able to just bury them and use them as sort of rubble. So we're getting stuff cleaned up. We picked up a few other half pipes around here. I've had the van parked down near the barn here. Let's have a look in the barn. I've been organising a bit of stuff. I haven't been down here this afternoon because it's just been so hot, but now that it's getting windy, it's actually kind of cooling off a little bit. It'll almost be refreshing to have a storm, but geez, there's some dust blowing around the paddocks. It's all very, very dry here. We haven't had rain for quite some time. Okay, let's have a look in here. I've put these big tables on Facebook Marketplace, and someone's pretty keen on coming to get them. I've got a guy that wants all these seats. I put the aluminium window on for free. There's a lady coming to get that tomorrow. So we're making some pretty good progress. I've moved the old food safe into the van. We'll talk about that in a tick. And also one of the Laminex tables here is I'm taking home for a project. Yes, I need more projects as I roll my eyes. This old table is just a bit far gone to try and fix up, but I am going to save that nice retro red Laminex. I'll save that, but the rest of it, the frame's all rusty. It hasn't got enough going for it, so the frame can go to the scrap metal pile. These old bed frames are really nice timber. I'm going to save the timber off them, but the actual spring wire base can go to the scrap pile. So I'll take them apart tomorrow when it's not so hot in here. All those seats have gone onto Facebook, as I said, and I think there's a guy pretty keen on those. I just did $100 a lot. This is the other table which I'm going to take home and fix up. It's a Laminex top as well, and this was our kitchen table that I can remember as a kid growing up here, so I'll fix that one up. Might even do a bit of a video on this. I might repaint the legs, polish up the chrome corners, glue down the top, and it'll make a nice saleable table to put in the shop. So been quite productive here. I've knocked apart a couple of cupboards and they're just going for firewood. I will keep some of that timber on that front one there though. There's some nice solid pieces of timber. The other little thing's just a plywood piece. So yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with what we've got done today considering the heat. I might just close this barn door, hang on. And tomorrow is supposed to be only about 24 degrees. It's a big drop from 38 today. Yep, the storm clouds are brewing. But geez, it's nice to have a nice breeze. It's got a little bit of a cool tinge to it, and it's fair dinkum nearly blowing me over now, so if you can hear me well, this microphone is doing an amazing job. Even a few little spots of rain in the wind at the moment, although it's still very dusty. So I've been inside on the computer this afternoon listing stuff, answering questions. A few of the machinery items that didn't sell on eBay, like the header, what else was there? Oh, one of the grain bins, the trailer, the grain trailer. So I've been putting those on Facebook Marketplace and advertising them on farm machinery sites, and I've had quite a bit of interest. I think it's an interesting conundrum, I guess. Do you put something on eBay and pay fees but then have the advantage of an auction, or do you just put it on Marketplace at a fixed price? I think you get much better exposure at a fixed price, but you need to know what your stuff's worth. So I feel that eBay is good if you're not sure of a value, and once it's run through an auction once and hasn't sold, you then got a pretty good guide as to what to put a fixed price on. So that's what I've done. And yeah, things like these gates, for example, I was quite disappointed they didn't sell at what I put them on eBay for. I thought they might have had multiple bids and gone quite a lot higher, but no, we only sold the one good one. But as soon as I put these three on Facebook at same price we were asking on eBay, I've had messages everywhere, and there's one guy coming tonight to pick them up, and there's two other people waiting the next in line if he doesn't take them. So it's certainly a different way of marketing, but then you don't have the option of an auction. So anyway, they're going to go today. I put them in here on the trailer because I didn't know how hot it was going to be later this afternoon, and we didn't want to be picking up metal that's like the temperature of a fire poker. So I picked them up this morning and parked them in here. So he'll be here soon to pick those up. Hopefully the rain holds off, and I think a bit of a nice downpour this evening would freshen things up really nicely for tomorrow. Well, I guess one good thing about the wind, it's blowing all these little whirligigs away. So have a look at them, they're flying down the driveway. They're like mini tumbleweeds. They'll probably gather on someone else's property. Well, good morning guys. It's just before 8 AM the next day. It is a beautiful, still, fresh morning. The storms didn't amount to much. There was a few around, but they kind of skirted around the farm. We got a lot of wind, as you saw. We did have a sprinkle of rain overnight. I don't think there was much in it. We dragged that grain trailer up from down the lane yesterday in case there was a lot of rain, because the laneway would have been too boggy, whereas we can access it here on the gravel. So we got prepared in case there was substantial rain, but there wasn't, which is typical, but it's better to be prepared. So it's lovely out here this morning. It's still, it's really fresh. It's still warm. I'm still in shorts and a t-shirt, but it's a very nice morning. It's supposed to, though, stay fairly cool today and not get very warm at all. Anyway, now I'm going to start loading some stuff out of the barn while it's nice and cool this morning. And I was talking about an old food safe yesterday, and I forgot to come back and show you. And over in the cow shed here, we have more of these tumbleweeds. They've blown everywhere, but I guess the wind cleared a lot of them out from around the farmyard yesterday, which was good. Now in the old cow shed, the latch is pull the string. It's a fairly tumble down old shed here. It hasn't been used for a long time. We used to milk cows, and that hasn't happened for many, many years, and the shed's just become a spot to store stuff. Now there's a couple of old trays here. These are old galvanized water trays. Now one of these goes at the top of that food safe and one goes at the bottom, and the actual cabinet was supposed to have hessian down the sides, so it was the hessian dipped in the top tank and it soaked down the sides, and you had evaporative cooling, which was basically the only way you could keep food cold in the old days. So I'm going to take those two trays back, and I've already loaded the food safe in the van. Let's go and have a look at it. So here's the old food safe for those that missed it earlier or have missed me talking about it in previous episodes. It's not in the best condition, but it's an original one to Mum's family, so it dates back a long time, and it's basically just a timber frame with old fly wire over it, a couple of shelves which are pretty dilapidated. The bottom shelves actually partially collapsed by the looks of it. And then it had the tank at the top and a tank that it sat in, and the hessian draped down the walls, and that's all you had to keep your produce cool before refrigerators. So it's not really viable to restore it, but given that it's a family one from a long time ago, I think I'm certainly taking it home. I don't want to put it on the bonfire. I might look at rebuilding it from some scrap timber at home. Because we have the two trays, if I didn't have those, I don't think I'd bother. And it might even find a nice spot on our deck for Christine to store her pumpkins and other produce. It doesn't necessarily have to have water in the tanks. Just it'll be a good spot to keep things on in storage. I think you're supposed to store pumpkins in a nice, cool, airy place, so that might work quite well. Anyway, it's going in the van. It's the first thing I'm packing in. I've got to try and get a big Laminex table in, which we saw yesterday, and the tops off it. So I'll get that frame in, and I'll start loading some boxes from out of Mum's other sheds that we're just sort of gradually getting organised. It's a big process. I've got to take that sheet of Laminex off that red table over there as well, and take those bed frames apart for the timber. So I'll get to that this morning while it's nice and cool. What we might do is I might finish up this video here, call this episode complete, and we'll continue with the packing of the van, all the machinery being picked up today, and the trip home will be in the next episode. So thanks for watching, guys. Another episode complete, but this is kind of just halfway through this adventure here, this trip anyway. So we'll see you in the next video real soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.